Anyway, so that's what artists are doing. And so one of the things I would say is buy a damn piece of art, you know? Find one that really speaks to you. Because you invite that into your life. Look out if you do it. If it's a real piece of art, because you'll also get a little introduction to the artist, and then that'll seep into your life. And that'll change things like mad.
Just not right in there, and I don't seem to care. Been going on.
And this is the studio of Joshua Hogan, artist in residence, here at world famous Boxheart Gallery in Bloomfield. Josh, thanks for inviting me into your studio.
Yeah, pleasure.
This is really cool, man.
This is your piece. I'll get the lights on.
This is the wall where he does all of his creativity.
Just to give me an idea what they're looking for, so I have those printed out and then tell me a little bit about their story and where the piece is going to go.
But it's unbelievably worth it, because it opens your eyes to the domain of the transcendent. That's the right way of thinking about it. A real piece of art is a window into the transcendent. That's what it is.
So after talking to them a little bit, I got the idea that it's going to be more of a yellow, but they really like some of the blue, and it'll definitely fit in there, but they have a good bit of blue in there on their bookshelf. So
you look at these magnificent cathedrals that our civilization built over the centuries. You know, some of those, they're still building the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, right? And it's an amazing building. I think it's going to take them like 300 years to build that. You know, people in the Middle Ages, they'd start building a cathedral and they think, we'll be done this in 300 years.
Are these pictures here
these are old paintings, yeah.
that you had done and that you used as a reference for them?
Yeah, they just go on my website and pick out like 5 of their favorite pieces or pieces they just think they like the most.
That's cool. That is really cool.
Yeah.
So this is where you are. And how many pieces are you going to be doing?
Just this one.
Just this one?
Yeah.
Open to the sky. That's why they have a dome, and they're full of gold so that it glitters, because that's like the city of God, you know. And beauty is one pathway towards God. And if you can't find another pathway, then why don't you use beauty? I'm sure most of you do that with music.
I love the size, and that's where it's going to go.
Yeah.
Essentially here over the fireplace.
So
that's really
like
cool.
The first, like there's a first like browner, like raw umber wash underneath throughout, because sometimes I leave the pencil marks at the end, like you can see on these ones. It gives me ideas,
this is
but
gorgeous.
then also I like the marks of like the tool marks of just the pencil also.
Because music is the one thing that modern people can't be cynical about. Thank God for that. And I've been fascinated by music because of that. It speaks meaning to people, right? Even nihilistic punk rockers are so damn engaged with their music that they can hardly stand it. And you can knock on them and say, look, you know, you're having a transcendent religious experience, and they'll just tell you to f*** off.
That's just gorgeous. I still have my Finding Wings portrait
Oh yeah.
that you gave me.
Yeah.
The little piano player, keyboard dude.
Oh right, yeah.
That, I love, oh my God, I love it. So what stage would you say you're at with
This is early stages, so this is like in the first month of a couple layers of just doing washes, and then slowly the shapes. I do some drawing, but then they just start forming. Like a lot of these came out yesterday by just like painting the next layer on and painting like up to the negative space behind.
Like this looks like it's going to be the petals of a flower.
Yeah.
We need in our culture to justify the arts. And you have to, I don't want to do that by talking about high culture, talking about something abstract and evanescent. That's the wrong way to go about it. This is vital. You know, like one of the things that's really interesting about the University of Toronto is that the one side of the campus where we are is beautiful, medieval cathedral, and the other side is god-awful factory. None of this happens by random chance, you know? It's not like there's a conspiracy or anything, because there isn't, but that doesn't mean that these things aren't tangled together. And the loss of beauty in the universities is a catastrophe, because without that beauty, there's no call to higher being.
That's pretty cool. So wash, you had used the term.
Yeah, real thin paint, yeah. So it's almost like dripping down. Very first start, I'll lay it flat and really get it wet and move it around and that stuff. And then
Interesting.
that's like this tone is all from that step, and that's like some of this what you see in the shapes. So that gives me a nice little variation already in the shapes.
It looks way more three-dimensional than it is at this stage, but how many layers are there are we looking at?
That's probably about like 4 different layers of just real thin.
So far?
Yeah, because there's like 3 different yellows. I'm just pushing back and forth. And then the washes, I'll show you one of that video I have of like doing the starting washes and stuff. That's like a bunch of, well, it's all done at once, but like I keep adding to it and then putting alcohol and like denatured alcohol that like separates it and breaks it apart, and then adding a little more paint. So that's kind of fun because that's real loose.
Yeah, and it's you know what you're expecting, like you're going for an effect, but there's also, I would assume, there's also an element that you're kind of excited too, because you're not 100% sure how it's actually going to turn out.
Yeah.
There's no call to higher being. You know, this is also why, you know, I've mentioned to people that they should clean up their rooms. It isn't just that you clean it up, you also make it beautiful. And it's really hard to make something beautiful. And it's really worthwhile. And what's really cool is if you learn to make something beautiful, even one thing, if you can just make one thing in your life beautiful, then you've established a relationship with beauty. And then you can start to expand that relationship with beauty out into the world, like into other elements of your life. And that is so worthwhile. It's just incredibly, crazily worthwhile. And that's an invitation to the divine.
But like having the shape continue around, because they have a nice like chandelier, so I thought it would be like bring it up and down. And some of that blue, not as much blue, but so that was a general idea. But like yesterday working on the little shapes and just like I had no idea what all this metal is going to be. So that's like these little things you just work out.
They start popping out and they're giving you a way to go.
Yeah, right, yeah. And you're just, that's where it gets exciting and fun, the little surprises.
How long have you been working on this piece right here? I mean, how many man hours do you have in on it? How long?
This one's probably about 4 different full days.
4 full days,
yeah, but
over the course of like a week, 2 weeks? Like,
it would have been, but it's been over the course of about a month, because getting full days up here is tricky. When you start, that first layer is called, it's a little different oil paint than, yeah. So that was like, I need at least 2 days for that stuff. This stuff is still a little tacky at work, but it's so thin, so I can still go into that, but it helps to have a drying day here and there too.
A drying day.
Paint, yeah, it doesn't dry that quick.
People are terrified of it. People are terrified of color. They paint their walls beige. They're terrified of art. They buy some mass-produced thing because they don't want anybody laughing at them for their lack of taste. And they would get laughed at because they have no taste. But you have to, well, it's right, because what do you know, right? You have to develop it. And so you're going to stumble along and make mistakes to begin with. And you're going to show yourself, because if you buy, I think this is pretty, and you know, somebody comes over and goes, hey, what's up with you? It's kind of hard on your self-esteem, but it's you're stumbling towards the right, you're stumbling towards the kingdom of God.
Tweak.
Yeah, there's the budget. The budget's all set and fine. Just more like, do you like the direction? If there's anything, because now is the point where I could change it and go different things.
That's interesting.
Usually they don't, but like it's good just to, and it keeps them excited. I like they're abstract, but I like to pull the family story. And said they have 3 young kids all into gymnastics, 2 girls and a boy. So like I always have to
work them into
use
that.
These shapes become like little metaphors for maybe. So I'm thinking like these 3, but they might change. There could be other shapes around, but I like the feel of them kind of tumbling and.
So you're working gymnastics in there, you're working athletics in there. That is so cool,
so
man.
I try it my own way. I'm like, oh, that kind of fits. So, but it's still based like on landscape, abstract, and flowers and my own weird,
I love it.
Surreal stuff. So.
It's very much worthwhile to make an economic and practical case for this sort of thing. You study literature in the humanities so that you can familiarize yourself with the wisdom of our civilization. Man, you should do that because people have been working on this thing for a long time and it's rich beyond comparison. So why wouldn't you do that? And you teach yourself to read, and you teach yourself to speak, and you teach yourself to think, and you teach yourself to communicate. And I can tell you, if you can read and think and communicate, you are absolutely 100% unstoppable.
Is that something that you did at the initial when it was a white canvas, or is that something that you do once you get it to?
Well, the initial with the like I'll show you the video when I do the initial. It's like real loose. It's just like a way to have like charcoal like lines like this, just kind of.
Just giving you outlines and okay.
And then after I do the color and the wash, some of that stays. Some goes out. I'll do some more charcoal. That's. There's lines, and then as it goes even more, and then I start putting the yellow on, and it gets some shapes I'm working out. Then I might go in with the pencil and be like, oh yeah, this is kind of confirming I like that direction.
You know, now the pencil's got me like looking like stuff like this and this here. Yeah. That actually looks really, really cool. Yeah, these drips.
Separations from spraying alcohol onto the oil paint while it's still wet and keeping it. Does some nice separations.
Really cool stuff, Josh. I'm jealous. I should have been an artist.
There's nothing more economically valuable than teaching people how to articulate themselves and communicate, because they can identify problems, they can formulate solutions, they can negotiate to consensus, they can negotiate on their own behalf or on the behalf of others. It's like there's absolutely no downside to it, except that there's responsibility that goes along with it. But it doesn't matter because there's no escape from responsibility. You can either take it voluntarily or you can take it involuntarily. Those are your options, but there aren't any other options.
Well, sometimes it's like it works better for me. Like I have another that should be to finish up by March. I have this piece, but like my head's not always right for every day to paint. Working, that's why I have all the different paintings around, because you can mess up a painting real easy. And you're just like,
well, that's never happened to me.
So it's good to, if you do have time, it's good, so I procrastinate a lot of times, run out of time, but if I do have time, then you could be like, well, this day's for this one, nothing else, and then the other days, I'll jump into this other one unless I'm really feeling that one, and then I'll keep going, but it's nice to have that option.
Yeah.
Why? I was at the Modern Art Museum of Art in New York. I'm afraid I don't remember which one, unfortunately, but I was in this amazing room. You know, it had all these priceless paintings from the late Renaissance hanging in it. You know, each painting worth, who knows, $1 billion maybe. They're priceless paintings. So the room it's a shrine, and it was full of people from all over the world who were looking at these paintings. You think, well, what the hell are these people doing coming to this room looking at these paintings? Like, what are they up to? One of them was a painting of the Assumption of Mary, right? Brilliantly composed. And there was all these people looking at it. And I thought, what are they doing? They don't know what that means. Like, why are they looking at that painting? Why is it in this room? Why does it cost $1 billion? Why is that painting worth so much? And the answer to that is, well, we don't really know. Like, it happened. They're sacred objects in some sense, and we gaze at them in ignorance and wonder. And the reason for that is that the unknown shines through the mattis and in partially articulated form.
Now, this piece over here, I noticed, all your work has that Josh Hogan signature to it. Is this related in any way to this?
No, it's the only way that's a little bit is like I had that one and this one.
You just have them up to help for inspiration?
No, these are just working. The other gallery in Asheville and stuff here, I just really need more work for them. They're kind of.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, so
the butterflies
started, and the only knew this was going to be a yellow painting, so I only wanted to, that was the only connection when I was doing that.
To that.
You know, when I like get some yellows going, but try this like real pale blue over the yellow just to see how that's going to work.
I almost see, you were big on angels a while back, and I almost see like an angel or a firefly.
Figures in it and everything, and yeah, I like that idea of like that finding the wing is like finding their own
Finding
courage.
your voice.
Yeah.
The worst thing for creative people is to not be creative because they just die. And because it's like maybe you're a tree with a few major branches, you know? That's your personality. So if you're extroverted, man, you can't be cut off from people because you just wither. And if you're agreeable, you have to be in an intimate relationship or you die, you know? And if you're conscientious, man, and you're unemployed, you're just going to eat yourself up because you have to have a duty and you have to carry a load because you just can't stand it otherwise. And open people have to be creative. They have to be, because otherwise they die. They don't have any vitality. And so they're cursed with the necessity of putting a foot out into the unknown and making sense of it.
I mean, even art, like if you used to go on YouTube and look at art, you'd see people like yourself doing real art. And now if you look there, it's more like, you know, craftsy art, how to make this, how to do
There's a lot
silly.
of that. Yeah.
There's a lot of that, like, because that's what people
That's
are clicking on. That's what they want to.
They're finding ways to make money off their art, kind of just doing tutorials. Or like showing that. So there's
Some of them are really cool. Like I have so much respect for like when I see that people that they're not just painting abstracts. They could draw stills. They could draw fruit. They could draw people. They could do this.
They're also cursed with the necessity of trying to make a living while they're doing that, which they can't because you can't. It's almost impossible to monetize creative action, as many of you who are creative will no doubt find out. It's very, very frustrating. It's not that creative action is without value, right? Because the creative people are entrepreneurs and the creative people revitalize cities and the creative people make things magnificent and beautiful.
You're trying to find your voice, you know.
Right, yeah.
And that's what I see. Like is a lot of angels, a lot of winged things, from be it butterfly or dragonflies. There's almost something. I don't know. This is just my mind because I'm dark. Sinister. There's something that looks like it's something like.
That one's like a serpent or something.
Yeah.
You think about what's happened in Europe over the last 1,000 years, say 2,000 years, this amazing, unbelievable collaboration to make things so beautiful that they're jaw-dropping when you walk into them. And you think about the economic value of that, right? I mean, I think it's either France or Spain that's the most visited country in the world. It's one of those two. I think there's more tourists in France than there are people most of the time. And part of the reason for that is it's just so damn beautiful. You just can't stand it. And you think, what's the economic value of that? It's absolutely incalculable. And
like out of Game of Thrones or something.
Yeah.
Or
Like I think a lot of these paintings always try to carry the story of life a little bit for my own interpretation. So there's always got to be some darkness and some work that you carry with you from like your past. Like my past is always carried in all the works. It's like you gotta, because like you start, sometimes that's why I said my head's not always right. Like when you're painting, like all thoughts and old memories come flashes in your mind.
you know, and I would imagine too that a painting like this looks different contemplating it from this distance.
its value magnifies. And one of the things that I'm deeply ashamed of as a Canadian is that our sense of beauty is so underdeveloped. We're so primitive. It's not even primitive, that's the wrong word, because, you know, I don't know what it is. It's second rate. It's second rate at least. It's terror too, because people are afraid of beauty, but.
Or they bought it because they saw it that way. But even flipping it around, like while I'm working, helps me see different ways and look at different areas to paint. And they do change a lot. A lot of times they could become nice paintings in the other directions too.
The idea that art is, the conservatives really have a problem with this in particular, because conservative people tend not to be that creative. And it's a mystery by temperament. It's a mystery to me, because they should be concerned with economic development, and beauty is so unbelievably crucial to economic development that it just yells out at you, you know?
That can happen, but
Sometimes it's tricky, like, I don't know, with that, like, it all feels good, but like you feel like, oh, I could do more and I could do more.
at some point you gotta let it go.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and then like it's good to be not look at it for days and then come back and then get reaction. And then it might be like, oh, I know it needs that, or oh, it's all done.
And so we need to understand the role of art and literature and stop thinking about it as an option. It's not an option. It's not an option. What is it said? Man does not live by bread alone. That's exactly right. We live by beauty. We live by literature. We live by art. And literally, not metaphorically. We cannot live without it, because life is too dismal and tragic in the absence of the sublime.
Pretty cool, Josh. Pretty cool stuff. That's up.
Yeah, sure. Thanks for always taking an interest.
I love that little bug in the middle there.
Yeah.
And a couple of his buddies that are trailing behind him. Alright. That sounds good. Hey! No, cut! Hello! Happy New Year! How you doing, Nicole? Oh, it's great to come here.
Thanks for coming.
I feel like a kid in the candy store.
You are.
I love coming. She got me there. Well, that's a wrap. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you on the next one.
I just wanna go to heaven.